I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Hormone Harmony by Happy Mammoth, the supplement that helps women maintain optimal hormone levels with over 50,000 glowing reviews from women worldwide, and 98% saying they'd recommend it to friends and family. Well, now you can take those results even further by pairing it with their prebiotic collagen protein. It helps to relieve occasional bloating and gas, reduce sugar cravings, and help you feel satisfied longer, as well as boost energy and help stabilize mood swings. Because your gut directly affects your hormones, improving gut health can actually help your hormone harmony results so you can feel like yourself again. Happy Mammoth is dedicated to making women's lives easier, and that means using only science-backed ingredients that have been proven to work for women. They make no compromise when it comes to quality, and it shows. Right now, you can try prebiotic collagen protein and hormone harmony risk-free and get 15% off your entire first order with code HAPPYME at checkout. That's code HAPPYME at happymammoth.com to get 15% off your entire first order.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
Really, with us, we let the dancers do whatever they wanted to do, whatever parties they wanted to give, what they wanted to do. There was no rules, there was no restrictions, and that's one of the biggest reasons why people love coming to Shakedown. You can be in flip-flops, you can be in a suit, you can be in this. We didn't judge them, so people love the fact they can come as they are.
That was Sha'ron Harris, also known as Ronnie D. or Ronnie-Ron, the creator of Shakedown, a Black lesbian strip club in Los Angeles, the longest running of its kind. As Ronnie will tell you, Shakedown had a chokehold on Friday nights in the LA Black lesbian scene from its 1996 inception until 2004. For years after that, Shakedown continued as a more under-the-radar, roving club night around LA. But you'll have to listen to find out what made them take things underground like that. I know about Shakedown, and maybe you do as well, because of a 2018 documentary of the same name. The filmmaker, Leilah Weinraub, documented those last few years until its sort of public shutdown in 2004. It's really an incredible stylized indie documentary with 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which to me means a lot, that all listeners would benefit from watching. But I do once again think you'll still enjoy this interview either way. I made the episode imagining that many of you will not have seen the film yet. There are lots of ways to stream it if and when you decide to, but notably, Shakedown is the first non-adult film to stream on Pornhub. So as a novel experience, you can always find it there. One last thing, entirely unrelated to this episode, for our New York area listeners, we're starting a lesbian trivia night with the folks from Les Hang Out. It'll be at Henrietta Hudson one Sunday night a month. September's is going to be L-Word themed on the 28th from 8 to 10 p.m. and I will be hosting. All of the deets are on our Instagram page, so come through if you can. This is Cruising Podcast. I'm Sarah Gabrielli, and now for Ronnie-Ron and the story of Shakedown.
I became a Jehovah's Witness when I was like 12 years old. I don't know if you know much about Jehovah's Witnesses. However, they are very modest people, very structured. When you become baptized, you have to go knock on doors. So they have two different categories. You're either an auxiliary pioneer, you do 60 hours a month, or you're a regular pioneer that does 90. So I became a regular pioneer, and I was knocking on doors 90 hours a month. And boy, people would slam doors. They would get dogs to chase us. They would throw newspaper at us. They would cuss us out. They would do it all. Yeah, those were the days when I wore skirts and stockings and yeah, those were the days. But I'll tell you, being a Jehovah's Witness is what taught me to read. You know, I wasn't a good reader before I became a Jehovah's Witness, and we were forced to read a chapter out of the Bible every day at home. That was priority. And the knocking on the doors, that was something that I had to do as a pioneer. And when we went to the Kingdom Hall, which is like their church, we would have to speak and give speeches there. So that's where it all stemmed from.
Do you remember what you were thinking about it at the time? Like, were you so internally miserable?
I loved the people because they were all so nice, and I'm still in touch with some now. But I knew that I was attracted to women, like literally. It just was, it was by nature. You know what I mean? It wasn't nothing to think about. It was like, there's a man, there's a woman. Who am I looking at? Looking at women. Look at, So when I was a little girl, I was looking at little girls, and I was like, oh my God, these are my friends. So I didn't look at my friends like that. But I'm just saying, as far as my physical attraction and my attraction to their mind, emotions, it was women. But I knew that once I hit 18, my stepdad and family, I was going to tell them I was lesbian, and I knew I was going to get kicked out. And that's exactly what happened.
What kind of messaging had you gotten from your family in the church where you knew that it was going to go like that?
Because as a Jehovah's Witness, automatically, you know that being gay is a no-no. It's really weird, Jehovah's Witnesses, when you disassociate yourself or get disfellowship, none of them are supposed to talk to you, not even your family. So I went through a period where I couldn't see my mom or talk to my mom or go to my mom's house for a while until my stepfather allowed me just like 2 or 3 years ago that I can come start seeing her, which was really my stepdad. My mom don't care who I am. She's going to accept me and love me for me. But him being the head of the household, when I turned 18, the day of, I didn't wait. I literally pulled my mom and dad into the kitchen and I said, I just want to let y'all know I'm 18 and I'm gay. And my father said, well, you know what that means? I said, yeah. He's like, you got to pack up and go. So I did. So I was walking down the street and I was crying, and some neighbors, very nice, very Christian. The mother saw me crying and she was like, what's wrong? And I told her. She said, no, go get your stuff and move in with us. When she had 4 boys and 5 girls. So I bunked up with one of the girls. They were churchgoers, and I began to go to church with them. I was head of Sunday school. We went to church 3 times a week. I went to college when I lived with them for some years, but I didn't feel right because I knew that I was gay, and I knew that they wouldn't hate me, but I knew that that wasn't the lifestyle. So I got my own place, because I felt my comfort zone. I love living with them, but they didn't know I was lesbian, and I didn't want to disappoint them because they took me in. I loved them. They were deep Christians. The father was a bishop. The brothers played the instruments. The sisters sung. So I just didn't want to, I didn't want to put that on them. So I decided to live by myself. I was in college still. And when I moved out, I was looking for places to go where lesbians hung out. And I was told, by just, I don't know, some random person, you should go to the Catch One. I mean, that's where everybody is. And I was like, what's that? So got the address, and I went up there, and that's when everything started.
Okay, so tell me all about the Catch One. Like, do you remember your first time walking in there?
I do. So when I went, I was looking around and I saw the macho look with no hair. And I was in the middle because remember me growing up as a Jehovah's Witness and then going to church, I didn't know how to dress. So I was like, what you want to call a femme stud type of thing. I was in the middle. But I was looking around like, oh my God, this is where they all are at. So this is where it starts. So I was seeing 2 girls to the side, and they were voluptuous women, which is what I like. And I was like, ooh, let me go sit over there by them. So I went and sat by them, and they introduced themselves. One of the girls I was really attracted to, I was like, do you got a girlfriend? She was like, yeah. She's like, but my friend right here doesn't. And I was like, oh, okay. So we started talking, and she became my girlfriend. But with that being said, leading into Shakedown, the Catch One they were having pageants back then, for the drag queens, Mr. and Mrs. Catch One. So the one that had a girlfriend was like, hey, your name is Sha'ron, but I think you should, apply for this pageant and give yourself a nickname. And I was like, well, what would be my nickname? And she was like, well, I don't know. Your name is Sha'ron. Why don't you call yourself Ron? I was like, well, no, that's my brother's name. I was like, what about Ronnie? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, is somebody here named Ronnie? She was like, so what? So I entered the pageant, and I was scared, of course, because I didn't know anybody but them 2 girls.
So had you done anything like that
Never
before?
in my life.
It was that night or it was a different
Well,
time?
it was after me visiting the Catch One with the girl that was my girlfriend. We all came, the same two girls. They took me back every, like Saturday and Thursday, and I was enjoying the strip show and enjoying everything. So then her name is Miss Teresa. She's the one that said, there's a pageant coming up and you're a new face and you should do it. I'm like, no, I'm scared. But then I thought, well, I was always in front of people as a Jehovah's Witness. So I was like, well, if you think I can do it, help me. So she did. She went and got the outfits I needed, which were suits. She did my hair. I had my hair down. And they had different categories, like dress, you have to come and speak. You have to perform like lip syncing or sing. I was like, I don't know how to sing. I said, but I can learn a song and I can lip sync it. So the pageant came up and I was just kind of in the corner by myself. Besides those two girls, they came back in the dressing room, was like, you got this. I was like, no, I don't. Everyone that was in the pageant was very popular. Everybody knew him. The only person they didn't know was me. And that's when the host came back. Her name is Miss Mahogany. She's in the documentary, Miss Mahogany. And she was like, she called me son. She was like, son, don't be scared. She was like, go out there and break a leg. And I was like, okay, well, these people were believing in me, so I guess I'll do it.
And what song did you do?
Oh, man. I listened to it recently. It's called Where You Want Me to Put It. It's an R&B song. And I figure if I'm going to do something, I'm going to get people up, get them going or whatever. And when I went out there, I was like, you know what? I just got to give it all I got. What else I'm going to do? Because whatever I do in my life, I'm going to do it. So even though I didn't know what I was doing, I knew that I could lip sync it and pull it off. I lip synced it. And then the next category was speaking. They asked, how would you be a good Mr. Catchman? What would you do? And I was just like, well, I would do my best. I would bring people and tell everybody. And they liked that. And then I had a purple suit, like a dark purple suit. So they went on fashion. And long story short, it was about maybe 6 or 7 in the pageant. And I ended up winning. I just couldn't believe I won because, again, I thought they were going off of popularity. And if they went off of that, I definitely was not the one. But I ended up winning.
This is like your early 20s, right?
Yes, it was.
And can you describe the Catch One in a little bit more detail? Is it strictly for women?
The owner was Jewel. May she rest in peace. I don't know if you know, she's passed. Just this last couple of weeks, she passed on. The owner of the Catch One.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's all in the news. Her legacy, they actually did a tribute last Sunday for her. And everybody just came in remembrance of her. But she did pass on. She was the first Black owner of a LGBT. Actually, she was the only one. Everybody else were promoters.
Jewel's Catch One was the longest-running Black gay dance club in Los Angeles, open from 1973 until 2015. It's an absolutely iconic club referred to as the unofficial Studio 54 of the West Coast. And Miss Jewel herself was the definition of a lesbian pioneer, especially in creating thoughtful and inclusive queer space.
She was definitely a smart business woman. After she pretty much sold the Catch One, I heard she opened up a clinic for AIDS victims, and she just went all in. She was into herbs and everything. She was very by nature type of woman. So Jewel was the owner of the Catch One and her wife. But she had every night she had a different event going on. So 2 nights it was lesbian, which was Thursday night was the strip show, and then Saturday night was the strip show. That was Mahogany I think it was called The Fish. I'm not sure. And then the other nights they had maybe the boys, and then they had the boys strippers. So every night was a different night at the Catch. But that's where we all came from, is the Catch One. So leading into Shakedown, when you win the pageant, there's responsibilities at the Catch One, this Jewel Catch One, may she rest in peace. But yeah, you have responsibilities. So one of the things that I had to do unknowingly is I had to host one of their shows. And it was the Exotic Female show on Thursday night with Miss Mika, who was an entertainer. So I began hosting. And again, with me speaking publicly, knocking on doors, and as Jehovah's Witnesses, you have to speak there. It kind of gave me that training to just be who I was. So to go into Shakedown, my Thursdays were always packed. I didn't know why, but everybody would come and be like, oh, Ronnie's hosting. It's the new girl, the new Mr. Catch One. Long story short, there was an older man way in the back. He had came up to me at the end of one night. And he was like, you know what? He said, I think you would be good to open back up my club and do a lesbian night. And I was like, I don't know nothing about that. I'm hired here to host. I don't know nobody but who I met here. He was like, I think you'll be good. So with all long story short, Miss Teresa, the same one that helped me with the pageant, I went and told her, I was like, hey, that guy there wants me to do it. And she was like, let's do it. I'll help you. And that was the beginning of Shakedown.
And then I know that Miss Teresa continues to be your business partner, right?
Absolutely. So when Mr. Lewis asked me to do it, Miss Teresa, I leaned on her because she knew everybody. She had won Miss Full Figure a couple of years before I won Mr. Catch One. So she was very popular. She knew everyone. So for her to say she would help me, it took my brain and it took her popularity to put it together. So when I was talking to my girlfriend at that time, which was her friend, she's like, well, what are you going to call this? Because you got to have a name for your night. He was giving us Friday night, which was the best night. So I'm sitting down with Teresa and her name was Lisa. And I'm thinking, well, I want it to be kind of named after me, kind of, since I'm I don't know. I'm just thinking, I was like, what could be something that's catchy? And my name is Sha'ron. And if this was going to be a night that was going to shake them up, I was just like, Shakedown. And Teresa was like, that's it. That's it. So when it first started, it was called Shakedown Productions.
How did you promote this? How you already there was a built-in space?
Yeah, Lewis was the owner of a club called The Horizon, which wasn't far from the Catch One, maybe 5 minutes. So Miss Teresa was like, well, we have to put out flyers. And I'm like, where are we going to flyer? She was like, well, we're going to have to flyer at the Catch. And I'm like, man, I work at the Catch. So when I went to Jewel about it and told her, she basically just gave me an ultimatum. She was like, either you're going to stay here and host and get paid or you do your own thing. And I just looked at her and I said, you know what? I love being here, but if I have an opportunity to serve the community, I would rather do that. So after that, Miss Teresa and I did hand flyers and we just copied the hand flyers and we would stand out at different clubs that she knew of. We would pass out flyers. The place was small. The Horizon was very small. Our first night, we had 75 people. But after the first night, it was 300 plus every Friday or more.
Word of mouth, basically?
Word of mouth and us going out with the flyers, different other LGBT places in Hollywood, Michelle, XXX. We went out there. We just traveled everywhere we could to put out flyers. So after that first night, we literally carried 300 people every Friday.
Wow.
Or more.
How would you pitch Shakedown? How would you categorize it? It feels a different niche than the Catch One, but how exactly does it do that?
I would say this, of course, all homage to Jewel, because she was the owner. She owned the building. So that right there is a big difference, right? Michelle XXX, may she rest in peace as well.
Michelle XXX was another well-known promoter in the LA Black queer nightlife scene. She hosted a popular Tuesday night party called Michelle's XXX Review.
She was in Hollywood, so she had all the stars coming to the exotic lesbian show. But Shakedown, we were in the hood. And when I asked people, why did they keep coming back? The main thing they said is they felt like they can be themselves. There was no rules. You can wear what you want to wear. It was affordable. And it was fun. It just felt like home. And we were open from 9 p.m. then to 4 a.m.
There weren't regulations on that?
Well, we had to stay under the radar, like you said, because, any strip show like that, they would consider to be something like illegal if you took off all your clothes. So they didn't do that. Some of the dancers would do a little bit much, but because everyone enjoyed coming, they would help us to stay underneath the radar. I mean, don't get me wrong. We would have the cops and the fire department come all the time and try to shut us down. They end up looking at the show, because they saw there was no real big problem. Everybody was just having a good time. And that's really all it was.
Can you describe in more detail what the scene is like there, what the crowd is like, what the dancers were like? I know there are so many fantastic characters just from watching the film.
Oh man, everything takes a team. And Shakedown worked and fed off of a team, literally. A lot of the promotional ideas came from Miss Teresa. She was very good at the promotion, the verbiage of the flyers. Miss Egypt, with all of her ideas, she started a pageant, the Shakedown Queen and King, the Prince. So we had, even though we were in the hood, We had a lot of things to offer. The vibe when you walk in is automatically warming because I would stand outside and greet everybody that came through the door. And then there you got Miss Teresa at the door where, you collect the money and everything. And there she is with her big smile. When you go in, you have the best of the DJs. You have affordable drinks. We had food in the back. And our dancers would just go all in with their costumes, their makeup. Yeah, and that's when the Shakedown Angels were developed, meaning the Shakedown Angels would dance every Friday, but then we would have other entertainers that weren't angels to come and perform as well. They would be invited as guests.
Okay, and so the Shakedown Angels are like the resident dancers there?
Yes, they were the ones that performed every Friday. They were the ones that, just like, I mean, I give homage to them because they were dedicated to Shakedown on Fridays, for sure.
And so what the scene looks like in the film is that it's like a dance floor and people are sort of crowded around that. And the dancers like come into the center of the crowd and they're dancing and they're like pretty like amongst the crowd, right? Is that sort of the way that it was in the beginning as well?
That's what it was all the time. The horizon was just so small to where we had tables, we had chairs. But when the show started, you couldn't see the tables and chairs. Everyone would stand in front of them. So how you saw them standing, they would all, as soon as the dancers was announced, their favorite dancers, everybody would just come to the front. We would have to literally back everybody up just so we can have room for the dancers to get down and do their thing. Yeah.
And you're emceeing at the time, again, pulling in your Jehovah's Witness background for that, which I wasn't even thinking about at the time. How influential.
Yeah, I actually emceed all the way up to the end of Shakedown.
Here's a clip from the film.
I don't mean to applaud anybody, but this is a gay club. Please don't disrespect my dancers. They dance for girls. If you don't like it, just have a seat, boo-boo, okay? It's a G club.
And then King Jr., who's in the documentary, I asked her to take the mic when I moved to Vegas, but I emceed all that way, and Junior would actually co-host with me. So that's why I thought it would be fitting for her to be the Shakedown host at the end. But yeah, I hosted for 15 some odd years or more for Shakedown, and that's what I did at the Catch One. So yeah, like you said, that Jehovah's Witness and that hosting, there it is right there. Yep.
And so was the crowd mostly Black lesbians or like entirely Black lesbians, would you say?
I would say 75 to 80%, but believe it or not, we would have Hispanics, we would have Caucasians, we would have men come. We would kind of put it down to the men and let them know. I would say it on the mic a few times in the night. Remember where y'all are. It's a lesbian club. So if you're trying to pull some up out of here, you might. But predominantly it was definitely lesbians. Yeah, for sure.
What is the difference between exotic dancing for women and in this context versus other contexts? Like I imagine there are lots of ways where just the energy and the process feels different.
I've been to heterosexual stripping, and believe it or not, I've noticed that a lot of women that are straight like to see women intertwined as far as dancing. It's just a different feel. Women, when they watching other women, it's just, if you're lesbian, that's one thing. But we would have a lot of straight women that would come and they just wanted to see the girls dance. So yeah, I think more in the heterosexual world, men are more like, where the lesbians are more like, hey, they're egging them on. Girl, do your thing, do your thing. So they're more respectful to me when it comes to the lesbian world.
And I imagine there's different taste that comes with that. Like I imagine that the girls are performing sort of differently for this crowd.
Yeah, they all are different. You had some that dance fast. You had some that was very slow but sexy. Then you had some that was fast, slow, fast, slow. They all had different personalities, and it came out when they danced. Jasmine was very bubbly, very, very bubbly.
In the film, Ronnie refers to Jasmine as the queen of Shakedown.
When I got to mine, it says, oh, Jasmine, she's a wifey. She's the type of girl you take home to mother. I wonder what kind of lap dances I be giving. You know what I'm saying?
She won as queen. Then we had another queen. I think it was Lovely, which was the first queen. And then we had Jezebel. And then Mocha was the last queen that won the Shakedown queen. So they all had great qualities about them.
Also, Egypt is really heavily featured. Can you talk about her?
Yes. I call Egypt the Madam of Shakedown. Egypt is an angel.
Egypt has this really unique, fast and free crunk style of dancing featured in the documentary.
I do things as Egypt that I would never do as Aisha. Like what? I could be a Barbie. I could be a kitten. I could be S&M. I can beat your ass. I can do whatever I want to do.
Egypt never entered the pageants because Egypt was the one that actually thought of the pageants. So she was the one to put it all together because in her life at that time, she was in pageants herself, broadly. So she's the one that thought of the idea of us having a pageant, and she orchestrated everything. So along with me and Teresa, she was like our right-hand woman when it came to certain big events at Shakedown. Absolutely.
And were there relationships amongst people that worked there?
Yeah, and that right there, I won't talk too much about, but yeah, there were out relationships. There were some in relationships. There was little fights because everybody loved the dancers. And then you got one, stud liking a dancer, and then there's another stud. And boy, oh boy, yeah, we've had some times with that for sure. Even myself. So yeah, not with the dancers, but yeah, we've had our time. We all had battles at Shakedown. Definitely.
Can you talk about the figures that the angels were like in the community? There's some talk about posters, and I think they have it looks like they have like trading cards or something in the film. Like, what is all of that?
Well, when we promoted the girls, we promoted them with flyers. So a lot of the times if there was their own party, like their birthday party, we would put their picture on and their name and everything. And that's how a lot more people, we would have a bigger crowd when their parties would come up. And then they would make their own little business cards and postcards to give out, because they would dance other spots. They would still dance in the Catch. They would dance in Michelle's, and they would do private parties. And we would make them posters, what Teresa did, and put around the club so that they would know, oh, this is this person's party. We would put the big posters all around the club. So yeah, that's what you saw.
Patrons were like fans of them and would also somehow get their hands on these posters and stuff like that?
Well, they would take them.
Really?
They would take them down. Like at the end of the night, like with behind our back, because we wouldn't let them take it. They would be like, roll them up, put them in their back. I mean, because they looked at the angels as being, they were icons. They were superstars to them. The angels, the Shakedown angels. Yeah, they knew when it was Friday, they knew who they was coming to see. So everybody had their favorites. Some of them liked all of them. But yeah, they definitely took posters. They would keep flyers. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Did you always have stud strippers, I think is what they were called in the doc?
Yeah, that started a couple years afterwards because I guess, you have some of the feminine women that love seeing the feminine women, but then they wanted to see an aggressive woman, kind of shake it up and take their things off. So a couple of years later, that's when we start having the stud entertainers. And then we had the lip syncers like myself. I was a lip syncer, King Jr. lip syncer. So we just started doing a whole bunch of stuff. Shakedown bought you everything. Anything you could do, come on. We'll let you.
Definitely like the craziest part of the film to me was the use of dildos. I don't know if you're like able to talk about that because was that allowed?
No, I mean, like I said, all bets off at Shakedown. Like we would do whatever. And that's why the community was for us. So that's why whenever the law came around, they would be like, oh, they're just having fun. Them girls did everything in those shows. What you saw, the dildo, yeah, there was sparks, there was fire. Some had bottles coming out of them. When I say they did it all, they did it all.
And that was like their creative liberties. You're putting this together and the idea is that
whatever they did in their show.
You weren't defining the event as nudity. Like it was just sort of what happened at points.
They would start in their costumes and they would take it down to their brassiere and their underwear. Some would go a little bit further. But towards the end, we kind of had to make sure we kept it clean because that's when the heat came on. But in the beginning, the girls were allowed to do whatever they want. They gave shows. And then I say shows, they gave shows. It's unfortunate, though, towards the end is when, I hate to say it, but, you got other people that kind of hated on us. And we had the crowd and they start calling the fire department on us. And then the owner of the Horizon got sick. So with him getting sick, he took the hours away to 4, tip him back to 2 a.m. And with people just kind of wanting to start up other Fridays. They were calling in the fire department on us. So we just decided to leave there. But that was ultimately where the documentary began.
You actually don't have to spend big bucks or tons of time in the kitchen in order to make delicious food at home. When you use EveryPlate, you get restaurant-level deliciousness week after week with recipes like crispy buffalo ranch chicken and cheesy Mexican street corn hash, to name a few. You'll spend less on your EveryPlate orders than you would at a restaurant and even on your normal groceries. I personally hate making decisions about what I'm going to buy and what I'm going to eat, and EveryPlate does all of that thinking for you, and they're easy to follow recipes. You're always getting fresh ingredients, you're always getting variety. I seriously love using EveryPlate, and I know you will too. So what are you waiting for? Dig into these flavor-packed meals your household will love. New customers can enjoy this special offer of only $1.99 a meal. Go to everyplate.com/podcast and use code CRUISING199 to get started. Applied as discount on first box, limited time only.
This podcast you're listening to, it was once just a dream. A dream that became reality not by accident, but because someone decided not to let the what-ifs keep them from creating something they believed in. Starting your own business is a dream lots of us share, but too many let it remain just a dream. Don't hold yourself back from creating what you believe in, and turn those what-ifs into why-nots with Shopify by your side. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. What if I can't design a website? Shopify's got you with beautiful, ready-to-go templates to match your brand's style. What if I need a hand? Get help with everyday tasks like enhancing product images, writing product descriptions, or generating discount codes with Shopify's AI tools created for commerce. What if people haven't heard about my brand? Shopify helps you find your customers with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns. And what if I get stuck? Shopify's always around to share advice with their award-winning 24/7 customer support. So turn those dreams into and give them the best shot at success with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/realm. Go to shopify.com/realm. Shopify.com/realm. Summer really lends itself to a minimal effort, maximum impact makeup look. When it comes to looking and feeling your best, especially in the August heat, sometimes less is more. And when you're working with fewer products, you want the quality to be high, which is why Thrive Causemetics is your go-to for a simple, clean, and radiant summer look. Every product is 100% vegan, cruelty-free, and made with clean, skin-loving ingredients that work with your skin, not against it. One of my favorite Less is More products is their Brilliant Eye Brightener. It's a waterproof eyeshadow and highlighter stick that comes in 34 shades. The shimmer shades are great for brightening up your inner corners, and they also have really lovely neutral matte shades that, again, can make a really big impact on your overall look without requiring too much product. Plus, for every product purchased, Thrive Causemetics donates products and funds to help communities thrive. And with over $150 million in product and cash donations to over 600 giving partners, your purchase directly fuels real impact. Maximize your look with minimal effort. Go to thrivecausemetics.com/thrive for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Causemetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/thrive.
This episode is brought to you by FXX and Hulu. An all-new season of Futurama is back, blending heartfelt moments with razor-sharp humor while accidentally saving the day. The Planet Express crew is back, defying gravity and common sense. From the creator of The Simpsons comes 10 new episodes where the romance is hotter, the threats are bigger, and the action hits harder. Don't miss the all-new season of Futurama. Watch it Mondays on FXX or stream it on Hulu.
Leilah came to Shakedown at the Horizon. Shakedown had been going on before she started filming. So we had been at the Horizon. We were actually at the Horizon for 8 years. I think Leilah came maybe the last couple of years we were there. And she told me she was intrigued with what she saw. She just said, wow, this is just some down home shit. Excuse me. And she asked, could she, do a documentary on Shakedown? And I thought about it, and we signed a couple of contracts, but yeah, she just came to visit and never left. Start filming.
Were there any other Black lesbian gathering events or spots at that time?
Yeah. So the Catch One was still open in the beginning. When we were at the Horizon, they had Thursday nights and they had Saturdays. So I'm glad we have Fridays because I didn't want to be in competition with the place I came from, Michelle Triple X was in Hollywood. That's where all the stars went. So she had rules and regulations to who could come and dance there. And then you started having other promoters start doing other things, other nights as well. When we had to start closing at 2 a.m., then you had the after hours. And they would open up at around 2 when we closed, and they would stay open to 6 or 7 o'clock. The hole in the wall. And we're all good. We're good people. We all good associates. So some of the times when we leave Shakedown, when we were closed at 2, we would go to the hole in the wall. But when we were open at 4, they weren't open then. But yeah, different events start popping up, in time for sure.
So was there a lot of community overlap? The community that was loyal to Shakedown, were they also going to these other spots on like Thursday?
Yeah. I mean, typically, yeah, they would go other places, but when it came to Shakedown, we had the torch on Fridays for sure. Nobody could touch us on Fridays. I could tell you that now.
Okay, so you have Leilah filming there for years. What was that dynamic like? She was just around filming?
We would love to see her come because we know, it's time to be filmed, y'all. We didn't know exactly what it was going to turn into, literally, but she was so cool and she was just so sweet. And, she would talk to the girls one-on-one. She would come talk to me, the DJs, Teresa, everybody. She was a very, very friendly person. And she saw the opportunity. She saw a good thing. We were just down home, good people. So she had a relationship with everybody, pretty much. Everybody knew who she was. Even the clients knew who she was. Yeah.
One of the things in the film that really makes it clear that how much of a family this is the segment that's about the first Shakedown baby.
As soon as they walked in the hospital, it was time for her to have the baby. They call this the first Shakedown baby right here. First Shakedown little kid.
So King Jr. and her wife, Shawn, which she's slow wine as an angel, she was having a baby, and it was the first Shakedown baby that we knew of, because we were close to them because they both were Shakedown people.
And they had done IVF, right?
Yes, they did.
I actually got this detail wrong. They used artificial insemination, not IVF. Mm-hmm. Did you know other people doing that at the time?
Not at the time, but after that, some people I noticed start doing it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the night of Shakedown is when she went in labor.
She was there?
No, she wasn't at the club.
Okay.
And Junior was at home with her. However, Junior called Teresa and told Teresa, hey, Shawn's in labor. And then Teresa was like, well, let me go tell Ronnie. And then me and Teresa talked amongst ourselves, and we actually closed the club and went up to the hospital that night.
You closed it?
Oh, yeah, we shut it down.
Did a bunch of people go? Who went?
No, they're very private. It was only me and Teresa and our partners at the time. But everybody understood. It was not too far off of when it's supposed to close, but it was a couple of hours before we closed. Everybody was actually happy. They were like, oh my God, so on is having a baby. So yeah, we decided to just close it, and we packed up and went straight to the hospital.
That part of the film is just so moving. It's like, wait, this was happening too at the same time?
That was happening at the same time. And that girl now is grown. Actually, she comes out now when I go out to different parties. We dance together, and she just had her 23rd birthday. She's in college. She's doing well. She's beautiful. That's why we call her the Shakedown baby, because she came right at our prime time. So very touching, very emotional. And I'm just glad that we're all still, entwined with one another. Definitely, we're all close, for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. When did people start calling the fire department, like you were saying? When did all of the nonsense with the LAPD start?
There may be speculation, but we could tell that when other promoters wanted to get their Fridays going, they knew they had to shut us down and do it. So they would call, and the more the fire department came, that was more attention to us. And that's when it got heated. And, when it got just too heated and after Jasmine had got in cuffs.
This scene is a chilling turning point in the documentary and for the whole Shakedown community. Jasmine had taken her top off during a performance, and without giving her a chance to redress, she gets handcuffed in the middle of the whole crowd.
That is not okay.
Everyone is upset and yelling, including Leilah from behind the camera.
You needed to wait.
While Ronnie always implies it was her competitors calling the cops to try and discourage their Friday night popularity, Egypt has also hypothesized in interviews that it was actually the disgruntled parents of one of the patrons who got the cops involved because they were homophobic and didn't want their kid hanging out there. Either way, things were never the same at Shakedown.
I was like, no, we got to close this club down. We'll go somewhere else, though. Like, this ain't the end of Shakedown. It wasn't.
So for people that might not have seen the film, can you talk about that scene? Was that the first time that something like that had happened?
They've come, and they had started coming more often during that time, like I said, when people were calling on us. But when she filmed that was the first time that any of our dancers got in cuffs. It was everybody was upset. Everybody was upset. I was like, take me, don't take her. I had to tell the DJ to shut the music down, and the clients weren't going nowhere. Nobody was leaving because they wanted to make sure that Jasmine was okay and all the other entertainers were okay.
So before that was kind of what you were talking about, where the cops would come in and just watch,
look around, and they would leave.
They were looking to see if you were breaking any rules, and they didn't find anything.
When they start coming in the beginning, we were overcrowded. They were only coming to see, was it a problem? When they saw no fighting and no nothing, don't get me wrong, Shakedown had his fights. We wouldn't do it when they came. When they saw it was just having a good time, they would leave. But toward the end, that's when they were like, oh, no, what's going on here with this show? And that's why they were paying more attention. Because, again, people were calling on it. So
what happened that day where it escalated for the first time? Like, can you describe the scene?
Well, they came. They had been a couple of times that month. So we knew that their eyes were on us. But when Jasmine took her top off, they walked in and saw it. And that's when they just did the little raid and told everybody to leave and put her in cuffs. So it was a night to remember. But again, it was really because people were just kind of ragging on us because we carried the torch on Fridays. That's what it really was.
And what happened? Did Jasmine get taken into custody that day?
I don't think she did. I just think she got in cuffs and then they let her go.
Yeah, and that was obviously really traumatizing for everyone.
Everybody. If it happened to one, it needs to happen to all, and everybody was just like, nah. So it was very emotional.
What happened from there? Do you remember after?
Well, it took us about a month to get on our feet and go find another spot. So we found the Current Affair and we just took our crowd over there and we partied there for a while, and then there was another club down the street that opened. We just was moving around, and then we kind of just slowed down thereafter because everybody was getting older, and so it was time to kind of just bring it down and just start doing events once a month until I had decided to move to Vegas so that I can get my personal life together, and that's when I decided to, give the mic to Junior, Teresa, and we brought along a couple of more members like Tina and others, and to help out with management with us why I was here in Vegas.
Okay, so it wasn't the end, after that.
Oh, not at all. We kept rolling. Oh, we kept it rolling. We moved around. We moved wherever we could move to keep it going.
And people followed wherever you went.
Sure did. Everywhere we went, they was there.
Was there a big shift? Was that the end of a chapter in a way?
It was the end of the chapter at the Horizon because that was the first club we was at. So that really is my baby, But we had to keep it going because, the community, they loved Shakedown. They loved what we offered. And we just had to find another building, and we did.
So for years after, it was still the biggest Friday night event.
Yep.
And you just were able to sort of skirt the cops after that?
Yeah, they weren't messing with us because we just was moving around at that time. So we never got shut down anywhere else. We just moved around. We moved around. And like I said, the community was for us. So they would kind of protect us, let us know, okay, the cops are outside driving by. So we would kind of have the dancer go off and just do the music. We were looked out for. Yeah, for sure.
And then after you moved, it still kept going.
After I moved to Vegas, yeah, it kept going after the Horizon another 8 years. Solid another 10 years we were going. And I came to Vegas in 2011 and we were still going. And then it dwindled down and we just had to stop. So we stopped. But I would come and visit, from Vegas to Cali, and it would be nice because I hadn't seen everybody in a while.
Did you find new business endeavors?
Well, I had always been into sales. So when I was in California, I worked for a vitamin company and I sold vitamins. When I moved to Vegas, I found another vitamin company to work for and I became the top salesperson. So the owner told me, I think you need your own business because you're making more money than me. I didn't believe that, but he was basically saying you need to go off on your own because you win the contest every month. So thank God, as of today, I'm in my office. I've had my own vitamin company since 2020.
Are you involved in queer nightlife still? Like, have you found other places?
Not trying to. The name of Shakedown still lives on. I was going to California quite often for a lot of the birthdays, the girls that still dance and some of the clients. Yeah, still very heavily involved. LGBT Pride in Vegas. I was involved in that a couple of years ago. I'm invited to a lot of places where they just want Shakedown to be there. Ronnie and Teresa Jr., all the dancers, Mocha, Egypt, everybody to be there. So even though we're not functioning, we do have a reunion that's coming up this year, October the 4th, where everybody's just going to come, DJ, food outside, and the Shakedown Angels, and we're just all going to just get together because there's so many people that are leaving us. We just don't want another year to go past without us all meeting again in one room. It's just the biggest, only reunion we've had. And everyone's just so excited. Everybody's coming from, I'm talking about afar, from out of town, this state, that state.
What do you mean when you say that the name lives on? Like that it's sort of in the lexicon, or is it producing still?
Well, I think the name is never going to die because we were the longest running. We were the one that ran the longest, meaning that we just kept going the longest one. So the name it'll never die. No, everybody will always still remember Shakedown.
And was there a big reception from the documentary coming out?
Yeah, we actually had a couple of receptions. Hollywood a few times showed it. We went various places that showed it on live screen, big screens, and they had us sitting on the stage asking questions. I mean, they put out the red carpet for us many times. It was in the New York Times, the documentary. I think the producer was working on Netflix at one point, so it's made his name.
I heard about Shakedown because in interviewing the owners of a newer lesbian bar in Brooklyn, the owners cited seeing Shakedown was part of this bigger wake-up call for them that they wanted to make a space of their own. And that was years ago, and they just opened the bar a couple years ago, and they were just talking about how that was part of the inspiration for
That's cool.
Always talking about we need to do this, and then they finally did. Listeners just need to watch it, of course, as a reference piece.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely takes you back. What takes me back when I see the documentary, I cry every time, for sure.
It's so emotional. Just the music and the editing, it's so intense in a really beautiful way. Yeah.
Really did a good job. There's a lot, of course, that's not there because, when you do a documentary, you can only do so much, but there's a lot that's missing. She has that footage, but she put in the documentary what she wanted to be in the documentary as the producer. So you get a smidget of a little bit of everything.
Obviously, that was their artistic vision, but what else? What are you thinking about?
Again, not her fault, but she saw it through her eyes, but I just wish there was a lot more that could have been featured. I would have started the documentary when we started and how we started it, I would have featured more so the background of the entertainers and how they got into being entertainers. Me and Teresa, how we began to be business partners, our lives, how we lived, and the good and bad. I do appreciate how she did put in there our last night. It was very emotional, but we just had a lot of memories. Egypt, I had a grandfather. We all used to go over there and get ready for the club sometimes. So that would have been good to get that footage. And then I had a little dog by the name of little Ronnie, and he would come to the club and be security guard. So I wish they would have, I think she got him, but it's not in the documentary. So it's just little things like that. And then, some of Miss Teresa kids, they grew up, in Shakedown. So her daughter ended up becoming a promoter. So it's just those things, that we miss. You would have the mothers of the dancers come, their dads would come. I mean, these girls gave, when I say they gave parties, they would go all out. We would go all out. With it being in the hood, when you go in and if there was a party, you would think you was in Hollywood. That's how we were. You know, like them girls, their costumes, you know, they would put on shows. I mean, they would take movies that they watched and they would come out doing a movie scene and then go right into their dancing. So it was about the effort that they put into their show. But I can honestly say they all brought talent. I mean, literally, we were Hollywood in the hood is what we were.
But the dancers were inspired to do that, like also because they loved it there and the community so much.
Because they could do it.
Yeah.
Whatever parties they wanted to give, what they wanted to do. There was no rules. There was no restrictions. And that's one of the biggest reasons why people loved coming to Shakedown. You can be in flip-flops. You can be in a suit. You can be in this. We didn't judge them. So people love the fact they can come as they are.
So what does that mean to you? How does that feel, coming from this Jehovah's Witness background where you were totally ostracized at times and knew you couldn't be who you wanted to be? Like, what does that mean to you now that you created this for so many other people?
I just feel like the purpose that God gave me, being a Jehovah's Witness, then was helping them to know the Bible. But then God put me in another space to where I can help the LGBT community have a place, a safe haven to come party. So I just feel like his purpose went on in just a different sector. And then once I moved out here, then, you know, God told me to get my own wellness center. So all the purposes were just like this. They all had connection. All of them.
Thank you for listening to Cruising. If you like this episode, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. It really helps others discover our podcast. Cruising is produced by a small but mighty team of 3 queer women, Rachel Karp, Jen McGinnity, and me, your host and editor, Sarah Gabrielli. Our theme song is by Joey Freeman. You can support us at buymeacoffee.com/cruisingpod. Follow us on social media at cruisingpod and on the web at www.cruisingpod.com.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Tom.
Okay, so you want to tell him, or you want me to tell him?
No. I got this. People out there.
Yeah.
People, lean in. Get close. Listen, here's the deal.
We have big news.
We got monumental news. We got snacktacular news.
Yeah, after a brief hiatus, my good friend Michael Ian Black and I are coming back.
My good friend Tom Cavanaugh and I are coming back to do what we do best.
What we were put on this earth to do.
To pick a snack.
To eat a snack.
And to rate a snack.
Scientifically.
Emotionally.
Spiritually.
Mates is back.
Mike and Tom Eat Snacks is back.
A podcast for anyone with a mouth.
With a mouth. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Amy Nicholson, the film critic for the LA Times.
And I'm Paul Scheer, an actor, writer, and director. You might know me from The League, Veep, or my non-eligible for Academy Award role in Twisters.
We love movies, and we come at them from different perspectives.
Yeah, like Amy thinks that, Joe Pesci was miscast in Goodfellas, and I don't.
He's too old. Let's not forget that Paul thinks that Dune 2 is overrated.
It is.
Anyway, despite this, we come together to host Unspooled, a podcast where we talk about good movies, critical hits,
fan favorites, must-sees, and in case you missed them.
We're talking Parasite to Home Alone.
From Grease to The Dark Knight.
We've done deep dives on popcorn flicks. We've talked about why Independence Day deserves a second look.
And we've talked about horror movies, some that you've never even heard of, like Ganja and Hess.
So if you love movies like we do, come along on our cinematic adventure.
Listen to Unspooled wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't forget to hit the follow button.